This is the new guru, Yoda. All our guru.
He doesn't get out.
So cute.
I just want to record you with that.
Right.
Yoda's going to run the Zoom tonight.
Join the group.
Say hi. Is Bella on here? Hi. Who? Yeah, Yoda. So Connie is here. I see. Is here. We can get back here. Let's take it down now. That's right. Enough of that. It's like too much responsibility. Yeah.
I'm just going to take a minute and introduce Polly to who's in the room. So I'm going to do it this way. And we have Yarrow. See us? No, where we are. Yeah, see in the top right corner. Oh yeah, there's Yarrow and Tashina. And we have back here, we have Pam. And there's Robert, and there's Bonnie. And Les, oh, you're not sitting over here, Les, I didn't recognize you. And we have a Max. And a Mora. You have Yoda, did you show Yoda?
You got Yoda in my lap.
We have Marty. Yeah. We have Linda. And we've got Grace. Okay, so that's our group so far. And give me a second.
Who's this right here?
Linda Landon.
And
So welcome everybody. Gio and Deborah. Gio's here.
yeah.
Patel is here. Roger is here. So welcome everybody. So happy you're here. We're going to spend an hour, at least an hour together, maybe an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes for those of you who want to stay for the meditation. We're going to go and Polly's going to do a guided meditation, for short guided meditation, and then we'll do meditation, silent meditation. All that will last about 15 minutes. And then Polly will talk, and then we'll go into Q&A. At the top of the hour, we will go into a silent meditation for 45 minutes. I will say more about when you're ready for Q&A, but for now, welcome everyone, and I'm handing it over to Polly.
Is Lily on the screen? Is she zooming?
Hi, Lily.
Is Lily on the Zoom?
Yes, yeah. She's muted though. Yeah. And Becky just came in.
Becky.
She just came in.
Oh, and to Becky and I have been playing hide and seek. Yeah. Thank you all for being here. We have this opportunity to be together in this most amazing space where what's true is acknowledged as the primary goal, the primary awakening awareness. So we'll use the breath just to sink into our true nature, that spacious, awake awareness that we know as love, that we know as oneness. So if you close your eyes and allow your breath on the inhale just to arise, and then on the exhale to relax into this amazing, spacious awareness that's primary, that's the source, the field in which everything arises. And another inhale and a deeper relaxation into this field, the field that Rumi said, I'll meet you there, that's beyond right and wrong. This is the field of the heart. This is the field where we drop out of our minds into our hearts, and in that opening, know who we are. I am that. This is a scintillating, arising, true nature of consciousness, of awareness, and as it arises, it creates realities. The realities it creates depend on the lens through which we perceive. And it depends on the thoughts with which we overlay consciousness. But as we become freer, as we become valuing this true nature, this always already there, and knowing I am that, tat tvam asi, thou art that, this, it's a dispersion, it's an allowing, it's a welcoming. So delicious and always available. Whatever's going on in the mind or in the emotions, this spacious true nature is always available. We know ourselves as this. Relaxing here, we access what is primary. We access what is cause and all of the matter. All matter arises out of this spacious awareness and is configured into matter by our observation or our thoughts, our limitations. And so as we know ourselves as this, there is none of that. It's just this spaciousness. No person here. And I am that. And we have the experience. It's like a touchstone. We can always turn. It's a quarter of a turn out of the mind, out of the perception, and home into this true nature, home into the spacious, scintillating, luxuriant, awake awareness. This is source, and I am that. So from this place, we arise, move into 3D reality to create. But as we know ourselves as this, our creation is of a frequency of the highest order, the frequency of love, and that creates a new reality. We redream this reality by who we take ourselves to be. And if we use this experience of awake awareness to acknowledge and know and show up as this, then the reality that matches shows up in our, what we call our world, the 3D reality. The out there that's out there arises from this space, from this true nature, from this consciousness, from this awareness. This is primary. This is the one where you get your bearings. This is the one always available to allow you to experience the love that you are, the peace that you are, the freedom. And so whenever there's anything other than peace or freedom or love or connection, remind yourself of this one that I am. Thou art that, tat tvam asi. And so it is.
Let me tell you who's joined. So Serm is here. So, and Kim, and from Siri and Gwen. And Sophie. Thank you all.
It's amazing grace that we have that availability of true nature with nothing but a slightly turning our attention away from where it's been magnetized into the external and back to our own heart, our own nature, and that's what we all are. That's where oneness resides. That's the true nature of what we all have talked about for many years and purport to experience, and some of us sometimes do. But that whole expansive, vital experience of all the isness of it, out of which everything arises, out of which everything shows up. And then through our thoughts and our perception, we can figure that everything into, most of the time, a problem. There's a way that it should be, and it's not that way, and I think it's somebody's fault. Probably yours, yeah. So we have this way of dealing with reality from an identity that was unavoidably attached to with this incarnating experience. You don't incarnate into this frequency of this collective reality, this frequency of fear, unless you're already carrying a frequency that matches it to one degree or another. And then there's something occurs, and I've been through this with all of you that are here and on the call, this whole thing about the early wounding, where we have a specific attachment to a frequency that we've already brought in. I don't have any agreement with anybody who says that anybody is born tabula rasa with a clean slate. If you come into this, if you incarnate into this reality, you come in because you have a matching frequency to whatever degree of some sense of fear. So having come in here and now having an identity that's based on an external reality that is in fact a projection of the fear that we're already caught by, incarnating here, we have the experience of being in response reaction to that external reality. So when we come together and we drop into the true nature of who we are as awareness, it's as if we're, think of it as reclaiming our attention particles and coming home. It's like reach out there and bring back all of the attention that you had on this problem or that person or that issue, and come back, and here we are in this one space, this absolutely vital aliveness that is our true nature, because any
Okay, try now.
all right, let's see what we can do together here.
Now we're in the present. We're in the back. We moved back to the present.
Here we are. We're still together here, creating a reality. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep talking.
Okay.
So what we're doing together here is acknowledging something that as we and when we live from it, we begin to create a new reality. And that's what the goal of waking up is for oneself. We think there's a person here who wants to wake up, but that person, there is no person. That was a creation. That is the body-mind unit identity. That's the avatar running around in the virtual reality game, right? Left without our permission. Yeah. Yeah. So now we are coming back to what's true nature. And from that place, identified as that, the frequency of fear begins to subside because we're present with a sense and a connection to all that is and knowing ourselves as that, not as a person. The me is what will disappear. One of my favorite titles for a book is No Self, No Problem. So as we allow the idea of being an individual, fear-based, contracted, worried person, that's what we have. That's not who we are. So in our experience of this expansion of consciousness that we call awake awareness, aware of itself, then from that place, the frequency is now no longer a frequency of fear. And that's the gospel. That's the good news. That's the glory, hallelujah, right? That frequency of your true nature, knowing yourself as that, now we're inputting into this energetic frequency reality, an observer on the frequency that's saying, I am that. This is love. I am you. You are me. It's all like all of a sudden we go back to the reality that any kind of energy field that is not observed and measured doesn't materialize. The energy field that we've been observing and been caught by was with a frequency of fear. And so it's got to create a reality that reflects that. So now this is the opportunity. This is what we came for. This is the fun of waking up out of believing that you're a limited person who's got to get something or avoid something to be okay. Because freed from that, when you observe, which our conscious minds do, we have attention that can be put on a reality. Now that attention is no longer configured by limitation or fear. So now we're literally creating a different reality. This is the most exciting possibility that any of us has ever known. And it's so up close and personal. This is the thing that each of us can take on, and the way that we interact with ourselves and with others and with this reality. If you can see it, it's not who you are. You can see what you're thinking. You can see what you're feeling. You can see what this all is, but through distortion. Knowing yourself now as the witness, as the seer of it, that's a different frequency. That's no longer the frequency of fear. That's the frequency of connection. And out of connection comes the experience of love. It's what we call oneness. It's already what's true. But now we have to reclaim that in our own work, in our own inner place. You cannot afford to deny your true nature any longer. We are here on this planet at this time in order to wake up out of the lie of fear, out of the lie of separation. The subject-object reality is coming to an end. It has proliferated itself into so many difficulties. Complexity always breeds fear, or fear breeds complexity, I should say. And so we've made out a complex, difficult external reality and tried to figure out at the level of the problem how to navigate that. But we are sourcing it so we can actually come home to what's true and redream the reality. We cannot correct it at the level of the problem. That's already in the past. But right here, right now, in this present moment that I often call true north, we absolutely redream a reality. We dream a world where the light shines and it's only now, and we're not caught up through fear in a possibility of a dire future. And we're not caught up through guilt, a low frequency, with a past where there's regret and the idea of being a person who fucked it up or didn't do it right or something. identity with that person, that limited identity, and then the limited identity that projects into a future. And now we're stuck in an unreal experience that we can't get out of, because the person that's caught in the fear is never going to get out of it. The good news is the person's not real. Yeah, I'm here to tell you, you don't exist. This is really great. So relaxing out of the idea of being a me that's got to get something or avoid something, we open up into the frequency that will create, as I've said 3 times today, a new reality. Yeah. So if there are any topics or any contributions, I am not sole source in this.
So if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, please go to the reaction button it's at the bottom of my screen, and raise your hand. If I don't call on you, sometimes that hand gets lost. It matches the color of the ceiling or the wall. Just unmute yourself
And speak up.
and speak.
What is so great that you would stay attached to it rather than wake up out of it?
Gwen, did you raise your hand? No.
Yep.
Okay. There. Oh, Linda. Okay, great. Let me spotlight you and we'll have you here. So here's Linda.
Hi,
Right.
Polly.
Hi, sweetheart.
I'm here to share a lot of gratitude. I just joined this Wednesday night group 4 weeks ago, and I'm already experiencing these shifts. Like, I've been working a lot with the 6-step process when I get triggered. And when I came on 4 weeks ago, I was dealing with like a 1.5 years of adrenal fatigue and exhaustion. And literally the day after I sat with all of you, I felt different. And what I'm realizing, it's this evening here where I am, is that there's just not very much fear cycling around right now. And I feel so grateful that when it surfaces, I can just, grab it and work it through. And I also want to say, I was very well prepped by Robin because I've been working with her forever. So I was already, really primed, and just sharing so much gratitude. And also to you, Robin and Yarrow, for like helping facilitate this Wednesday group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much power to the possibility when we can be together, acknowledging and valuing the shift that's available. One of the things about the frequency equation, it's, language is not the thing itself. It's always 1 or 2 removed from what it points to. And in the frequency of conversation, one of the things that we've become aware of, and that all of us have experienced, is that whatever the frequency, especially if it's one that we identify as being fearful or on any of the range of what we would call negative, is that the body takes the hit of that. So when we're, so currently in the collective experience is this whole issue of autoimmune diseases, where the implication is that the person's turned against themselves. Well, that's been what's going on in this reality with the incarnating into the frequency of fear. We're already against ourselves. And so as the body takes the hit of that, then after so many years, 50, 60, 70, more, then the body is going to go into fatigue. it's going to, it's neutral in the process. There probably comes in with every body some kind of karmic dynamic, that's reflected in the DNA. But in the experience of living against yourself by believing that something out there is where your salvation is, or something out there is where your well-being is posited, that you have to get something or maybe avoid something to be okay. That frequency of fear impacts the body. And so we get to a place, like I said, sometimes it happens sooner or later, and it's called autoimmune. But there's a body now that, a book now that says the body takes the hit. I think that's the title, or it should be, if it's not. So that we start to be kind to ourselves. It's like that is the turn, the being kind to ourselves, to show up. I often call it what it means to be on your own behalf. But the reality of that is that it has to do with telling the truth, the authenticity that we had to give up in order to feel safe in the early environment. That authenticity needs to come back online. We need to start it's not against anybody else, it's for you. And in that kindness, in that acknowledgement, we start to bring health to the body. Thank you, Linda.
Also, people in the room, of course, you can raise your hand too. Allie.
Hallie.
Oh, hello everyone.
Nice.
Thank you for having me here. I've been observing lots of shifts for the last week. It seems like more people in my circles, more people are departing to another realm, and it doesn't matter at what age. And I've been feeling how I resonate a lot always when it comes to the body talk. Our body has its own language, and that language has to be heard more frequently by us. It can be the language of fatigue, it can be the language of wanting to eat or not to eat. So I believe a lot of answers are in communication with your own body. In my case, for example, I don't know, I'm curious if anyone experiences the same. I've been fasting more frequently the last 7 days. And I've been seeing a lot of visions and dreams, especially during fasting. And nature has been communicating a lot. Like every single day, there is either, a rabbit or a cat or a bird I caught a bird in my hand. So there's been very interesting events. And also I do human design astrology and regular astrology. And I noticed that the last time we had eclipse with a Scorpio new moon was actually in November 2013. So it's definitely something beautiful and celestial going on. And I'm happy to have met you today, everyone.
Thank you, Allie. Thank you so much. Yeah, the body's like a tuning fork, isn't it? So that we start to get information by being aware and sensitive, not overriding, being kind to ourselves, because fundamentally the early wounding was in self-rejection of sorts. And so coming home, we have access to the larger reality through our own body, mind, and seeing clearly that we are not that, but that we have that. And in the having of it, we operate with it as the tuning fork, as the information bearer, so that we can be aligned with what it means to be what I call on one's own behalf. We left ourselves with the early wounding when we believed that the out there was the cause of our experience of getting what, that's where it was that we needed to get what we needed. And that was where the difficulty could show up that had us conclude I'm not good enough or I don't matter. So that the out there became all of the information. So we were magnetized into that, and that is a projection collectively in this reality of fear. So the body is a great monitor, or what was I saying? It's a great tuning fork of sorts. We can get information just like Ali was talking about.
And that's the main Polly, I have a question.
Yes, dear.
You know, so that for many years, we talk about so many different things that's good or bad for our body, and things change, you know, for one decade to the other. What was good there is not good anymore. What was good now, anyway. And I would like to see how we navigate in this reality with this avatar, with this body, this unit, body-mind unit here, but don't lose ourselves, put all our attention in the car and forget the driver.
Right. Good.
So that is one thing that I noticed, you know, part of I used to give a cooking class and teach people how to eat healthy and use spices as a healing and preventive medicine. And after I realized that was totally based on fear. People didn't eat what they want anymore because they try to think that prevent them to get this or that or that.
Right.
And we lost ourselves some way. Are you able to talk a little about that? What's your experience in that domain?
Yeah. Well, you all know that this body mind is challenged with losing the eyesight. Yeah. And but the whole way of being with the body mind is the sense of this is what I have, it's not who I am. You know, and that is a distinction that you can live more and more into, so that sometimes I say, what I am with this body mind, I treat it the way I would a beloved pet. Yeah. Is to give it the very best care and love and consideration. But I am the one who has it, and instead of it having me, which is what we're caught, because the body mind is the projection into this 3D reality that we identify with. We're caught in identifying with it. I am this body mind. And that identification with it locks us into the experience of fear on behalf of the body mind, right? Like this is dangerous. This is, I should eat like this. I should never touch that. I should never eat this. But once it's what you understand that you have, like you said, it's a vehicle. That's the car, right? But as the driver, you are attentive to it in whatever way is appropriate. But the thing that happens, that's the underlying experience of what we're talking about, is that not identified with the body mind, you have access to deep intuition and connection with a frequency of love that can enhance how you are with the body mind. Yeah. So the identification would come back to knowing ourselves as the awake awareness, as consciousness aware of itself that has this vehicle. From that place, you are connected to wisdom, actually. It can show up as intuition. It can show up in a dream. It can show up as just, oh, I need to have that for dinner or whatever. So I don't know if that answers your question at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just that awareness that we disidentify ourselves with this vehicle,
That's
we
right.
open ourselves for the higher self just per se to act through this vehicle and
That's
not just live on behalf of this vehicle.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's the freedom then that the vehicle experiences, because it's not caught in fear or limitation, is its potential, whether that would show up in the human design or the astrology or whatever. You know, there's specificity to the incarnating vehicle, the talents, the gifts, all of that. And so the full expression of that comes online when you are not identified with it. Interestingly enough, yeah. Knowing yourself as having that, it's now there's nothing to risk. When you identify with it, you are always concerned about How does that look? What impact does that have? What am I doing? Am I living my purpose? What's the meaning here? All of that comes from a fear-based mind. So the freedom, once you have the vehicle, rather than identifying with it, is really its optimum expression in terms of interaction and being present in this 3D reality.
I am aspiring to the high frequency of forgiveness,
Aha.
and I'm halfway there. I wonder if you could help get me all the way there.
Yeah, well, the definition of forgiveness that both Katie and it's, of course, Miracles, I think, points to it, and that I've always used, is that when you get that what you believed is happening or happened was not that was not what was happening. You know, it's like a shift in perception. It's like something is happening, and you believe that it's against you or that it's sourced by an evil person or whatever. Now, to see that as in the bigger picture, right, is the opening into forgiveness. When you're triggered and caught in the inability to forgive what looks like an external thing, the work is really with one's own woundedness, right? And when this thing happened, whatever it was, what did that evoke in me from my early experience when I concluded it meant something about me? Like I don't matter, or I don't even exist, I don't deserve to live, I'm not good enough, some version of that, because that's what is the frequency that I don't like to do this because I don't quite believe it. But like I said, language is one or two removed from reality, but the way we describe it is what came into your experience was based on a frequency that had to do with the early wounding. So that's the work there. And then the forgiveness opens up through the forgiveness of yourself for believing something about yourself that was never true. So that's the direction that I want you to go in with this right now. And it's because forgiveness is never about forgiving an apparent other. It would certainly seem so. And that's the way it shows up in our experience. But the forgiveness is always going to be self-forgiveness. And out of that, as that clears, then your presence is at a different frequency, right? And then that creates a different dynamic. We don't know what it would look like. It might not look like what we would prefer or think that it's what we would choose, but it will shift the dynamic of the scene, of the interaction, of the apparent story.
What helps me the most is this must be what I signed on for. This lifetime, whatever this experience I'm going through right now. Housing.
Yeah.
To find to maybe the dime,
Right. Well, and that is the forgiveness, forgiving yourself for believing that you would have signed up for it. It's like, who was I? Right. Yeah, but we have the stories or the examples of people who are deciding to incarnate and they're thinking, oh, I can do that, right? And then they get here and it's like, oh shit, what did I say? Who said that? I don't want to do that, right? But the self-forgiveness always is the arising of connection to one's heart. Yeah.
And everything really happens to.
Can you
freedom.
speak up when you speak so they can hear you?
It's true that everything that happens to us really is happening for our liberation, freedom, awakening. And there's no mistakes that anything that's happening wasn't supposed to happen. Well, that's if I believe that, which I do. But, and I wanted to make a comment on one thing I noticed lately is that the fly paper aspect that we talked about last week is less sticky than it used to be. Things go faster, things are more surface, things get, Tashina said something to me this morning and it just hit me like in 5 seconds I got it. It was like, oh, okay, got that. I don't have to. So one thing I'm noticing is that the more I notice, the more I'm aware, and I just notice this and notice that things don't take root as much. They're not taking, somebody's more awake here. And the other one, like the one who might get depressed or something, I can notice her now that, oh, there's the one who gets gosh, she's experiencing this right now. And oh, I don't have to go there with her. Just lift right out of there. But I really like that noticing.
Yes.
It's been a big help to me to not get caught so personally. And I get lost in the emotion versus just going, oh, no, I don't want to get lost in that emotion. I want to be above that and just the witness. And no matter what's happening, even if I don't like it and it feels unpleasant, I am more able to see the movie. Look at this movie you're in. Look at this part you're from. Look at this stuff she goes through. Oh my God. It's fascinating
Brilliant.
that they would give all that for you to witness, but don't get caught up in thinking. The hard part for me is if it's unpleasant. It's unpleasant or uncomfortable. I'm not always as free to rise above, but that is the aspiration.
Right. Well, the disidentification is the path to that for sure. Because as you are seeing that is happening to her, like in,
Yes.
then you're more and more not caught by what's happening to her.
Right.
You know, the whole piece about waking up is the distinction between who I am and what I've got. It's like, if I've got this situation, like you're pointing to, Grace, if I've got this going on, then who am I that knows that? Because that's the distinction that'll take you back every time into awareness as your true nature. It might not be consciously that available, but that's the direction always. It's simply a turning. It's like turning away from this that looks like the objective reality that's messing with you and back to this, and from where this is just what's happening. And it doesn't mean anything. And it doesn't mean anything that it doesn't mean anything. It's like, and from that place, yes.
No, when you're done. Sorry, I
Go
thought
ahead.
you were done.
Yeah.
When you're ready, Maureen has a question.
Yeah, go ahead. I just keep talking.
I had one completion though, which is
Yes.
ties it in with the Moore's thing, which is if we don't take it personally, what's happening to my body, what's happening to the housing, what's happening, and I look and see what is the opportunity here for me to be aware versus caught,
Mhm.
then that always goes well.
Great. That's a great hint. Yes. That's a great marker.
Along that line, I missed part of what you said. You said something, and that will take you back to your true nature. What was that?
Right.
Always takes back to our true nature.
Noticing the difference between what I have, that's what's going on out here, and who I am. Right. Instead of, so that what you're acknowledging with that shift in perception is acknowledging the witness to what's happening. Because what embroils us, what magnetizes us into the low frequency of suffering is believing that what's happening is about a me and identifying as a me to whom it's happening. So that's it always. This is just what's happening and I am here. And then I can easily do what is in front of me to do regarding it. And I will be much more clear about what's in front of me to do regarding it if I'm not caught by it, if I haven't been triggered. Now, everybody in here and on the call knows that I believe that triggers are gold because they are like the access into where we have configured something that will not let us go easily. So we get triggered over and over. And every time we do, that's the opportunity to see what we're believing about ourselves that's not true. And that's what the 6 steps handles. And for many of you, all of you, the 6 steps will tend to collapse into a kind of a practice where you know that you're believing something about yourself, and it may arise. You can go through whatever the steps that are most helpful, checking in with what you're feeling, and noticing what you concluded, which was the conclusion in every case, and sometimes before incarnation of a child.
Okay, we have about 5 more minutes. Let's let Maureen
Yes,
have
please.
her question.
Yeah, baby. Where is she?
She's right here.
Okay.
Hi,
Maureen.
Polly.
Hi,
Thank you. So,
sweetheart.
I just wondered, things are going so well for me. I'm feeling so good and feel like I'm growing so quickly. And then I talked to my daughter and she's 32 and she's in a funk. And I just want to rescue her, you know, so quickly. Like anything, oh, I'm going to go to Kihei, I'm going to bring her this. So I'm wondering, what can I really do to help my daughter?
So you need to help your daughter, is it true?
No.
No, no, she doesn't. The only-
Yeah,
Yeah, the only help she needs from you is for you to see who she truly is, and that and it's not to be, I mean, compassion is always available as we see things that seem as if they are, or they portend suffering, especially on the part of somebody that we care about and we've been with this whole lifetime, but allowing things to be what they are with whomever, because the reality is you do not know her experience, even if she's trying to tell you in detail what it is, right? It's like we don't, in the separate state, we just can't have any business in other people's business, no matter what. I mean, that was, I call that the lie of codependency, believing that somebody else's well-being is your responsibility. Your clarity is your responsibility. And coming into seeing and this allowingness, this welcoming of whatever, and stop believing that like I said, what her experience is, because you will be caught by that. Your idea that what her experience is, or even that it shouldn't be the way that it is, whatever you think it is. That's a sticky wicket. That's a trap. And it will not be of benefit to you or her. Trusting her path, trusting her unfolding in whatever way she does, and being authentically on your own behalf in regard to that is the high frequency. That's what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sweetie.
We have time for one more question.
Could that still look like for her? Could that still look like she comes over and she offers a hug, or she rubs her feet, or it still look like any of that without the intention that something needs fixing? She could still,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
I mean,
rub her up.
yeah, you can, and it's not about what you do, it's about who you're being. And because that's what tells the frequency, who you're being. The frequency of fear is what it comes in with codependency. Fear on behalf of another, but it's fundamentally fear for myself. I don't want to have them suffer, right? I want everybody to feel really good because I feel better if they do. The freedom is in the allowing everything. Yeah. Welcoming everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Polly. We're going to go into meditation in a minute. Before we do, I want to say that there's a book, a little ebook of one of transcribed of one of Polly's
Interviews.
It's on iBooks. And it's pretty good. It's actually really good. So it's called Creating a Reality of Joy and Peace. And yeah, it's free. If you have iBooks, you can go to that and get a copy of that.
Can you say the title again, please?
It's called Creating a Reality of Joy and Peace.
This was actually a transcription, I think, of the first interview I did with Steve Fried about 10 years ago.
I think it's the video I watched and called you from. It's really good. And not that everything else isn't. The other thing, just a reminder, please support Polly with Dana donations if you're able, or as you know to. And we're going to go into 45 minutes of silent meditation, which is, I think, fantastic. Awesome. We're so grateful that you do that with us. Yes. You're free to leave now if you want to leave, or stay. We'll be meeting again next Wednesday. There is a time change coming up for people who are not on Maui, and you're going to need to change your time because we're going to keep it at this time. Is that correct?
We keep it at 2 our time. Will their time have been changed?
Their
by
time
next
would
Wednesday?
not by the 5th, 5th or 6th. So I think we're still good for one more Wednesday, but I'm just giving you a heads up that it's going to be a little different.
Hi, sweetheart.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Polly.